What's up, guys? LQ here with the LQ Review, here to talk about the new Netflix documentary called Sly. Now, I think it's been out maybe a week, maybe a little bit more, but it's a documentary about Sylvester Stallone. Now, if you remember back, I think it was last year, they did the three-part documentary series called Arnold. That was a pretty good documentary series. This movie Sly, it's a film. It's not a series, and there was good to this. There's also some stuff I didn't really care for. The good. Let's talk about what I really liked about this. It really delved into how important the character of Rocky Balboa is to Sylvester Stallone. Clearly, this character is, it started his career and it made his career. And at one point, the character of Rocky saved his career in the movie Rocky Balboa. And then he got a lot of acting attention for the role, for what he did in Creed 2. So very important to Sylvester Stallone, and I think this documentary makes that very clear. This also really kind of does a good job of going through his rise to stardom, and how he didn't really know what it meant to be a star. How he didn't know, like he when he was rising to stardom, he was focused on the prize, right? And he didn't consider the downside to stardom. And when he finally got there, that downside was really difficult for him. And I think they did a really good job of illustrating that, how he wasn't prepared for the difficult side of stardom, and how that in of itself created some bumps in his career. So all that was really good. And it did a pretty good job also of going through his career not really movie by movie. That's one of my complaints, actually. But going through the phases of his career. Complaint time, things I didn't care for. Yeah, that there was some, and maybe this is just me projecting my nostalgia of Sylvester Stallone and what I would want to see in this documentary. But there was just some things that they didn't talk about much and kind of just glossed over, right? So, obviously they talked about Rambo. It wasn't a very in-depth take into Rambo and the character, though. I would have liked to have learned more about how that character impacted his career and impacted the creative decisions that he made moving forward in his career. And also looking at movies later in his career. We've talked about, they did talk about Copland a little bit, and obviously that was an important movie for Stallone. But I would have liked to have seen a little more focus at the back end of his career, kind of where he's at now. And maybe the past, I don't know, maybe the past 10 years. There was very little about that. There was a lot of Rocky, very little back end of his career. And I think that some of the really interesting stuff that he's done in his career has been back end, the last 10 years or so. Also, there wasn't a ton in there about his personal life. It was a very career focused documentary. They really kind of left his personal life out. Touched on it a little bit. There's some sprinkles in there, but they really kind of left a lot of it out. And I would have been interested in learning more about who Sly is as a person, what makes him tick outside of the creative aspect of him. So it was a good documentary. I was entertained, but I wanted more. I felt like it was very sanitized for a specific audience, a cinema audience, where my fandom for him is bigger than cinema. I'm a fan of the person, Sylvester Stallone, and I'd have liked to have gotten more into that. So that is my take on the documentary Sly. I would like to hear what you thought of it. Let me know in the comments below, and thank you for joining me right here at the LQ Review.